Well, welcome back to Morning Coffee. I am Mark Cook, and here we are on the Radio Vision Network. And I'm really excited because we have a new segment that we're getting ready to debut for you right now. And this wonderful young lady on my right, her name is Benita Lee McLean, and she is going to be hosting this segment, Read All About It. It's going to be every Thursday at 11:30. And we're really looking forward to you talking to some of the most interesting authors and all sorts of people who write. This is what it is, right? Because it's read all about it. So first off, welcome to Radio Vision Network.
I'm so glad and excited to be a part of this.
Well, we're excited to have you. You know, we love giving opportunity to people, and you basically said, look, I want to be involved, and I love to read, I love to write, I love authors. Can you give me a chance? And we, of course, jumped right on it because you're so willing to do the work, and it's really, really an exciting thing. And you have a fantastic author to start us off with our first show. So why don't you take it away, Benita?
Well, I am so excited about being here today, and Keith and I had a couple minutes before the show, and I've been able to finally get a chance to meet you. Okay, I've been reading all about you. And also, I just found out that you and my father actually grew up together.
Yeah, graduated Canton High, same year.
Yeah, so wow. I'm so excited about interviewing you about your book, The Power and the Glory. This book, I had a chance to read a couple segments out of your book, and it just blew my mind.
Oh, wow.
It blew my mind. So I'm just going to turn it over to Mr. Keith, and I want you to talk about what inspired you to read, to write this book.
Well, when I was coming up in the 60s and 70s, Camden was a wonderful place to live. As a musician, I've been all over the world, so I've seen every type of culture there is to see, from Chinese to Appalachian and everything in between. There was no culture that I thought was any better than ours, and I thought that ours was a wonderful, wonderful culture. However, in the 80s, with the introduction of crack cocaine and some other things, my community went down in shocking speed and to just conditions that are just unlivable. So I took a moment, analyzed it, went through history, went through everything, and I believe I came up with some answers. I've been blessed enough. I prayed hard on it. I got some answers. Those answers started working for individuals in the 90s. So in other words, I would get kids that were going down the wrong path in jail. Now they're doing very big things at the White House, Ivy League schools, Wall Street. And it was laid on my heart, I believe by God, I'm a Christian man, I'm a believer, that what was done for individuals can now be done for the entire community. And this book is a result of it. And I hope and pray that it lives up to its motivation.
That's amazing.
If that makes any sense.
That's amazing. And something that I got from this book is that you're trying to teach the African American culture or something. Like you're trying to show us something.
Yes.
You're pointing out. Like, tell me what.
What
you're trying to point out.
The best way I can explain it is, I got to go to the Bible. The Bible says, Exodus 20:12, honor thy father and thy mother, that your days be long upon the earth. What that really means is know your history so that you will have purpose, you will have power, and you will have relevance. Our community does not understand the value of our history. We cannot be at our best if we don't know what happened. In other words, I tell the young guys I work with, because I mentor young guys now, there's no way in God's name you can understand today if you don't understand how we got here yesterday. So history is not really the study of yesterday. I could almost care less about yesterday. But I want to understand today so we can start winning. There's too much suffering in our community. The only way we can address that effectively is to know how we got to this point. Once we know how we got to this point, almost anybody can start solving the problem. So that's the motivation behind the book. And like I said, for individuals it has worked, and there's no reason it can't work for an entire community. So we would be in line with the scripture. We'd be doing, it's a biblical command. It wasn't a biblical suggestion. God wasn't saying, hey, let me think. Yeah, how about that? No, it was a command. So we will be honoring that command. We would find out what's really going on, and we would have at least a fighter's chance of effectively dealing with it.
You know, you talk about knowing your history, and I was very lucky to have the opportunity to speak with you before, so I have a little bit of a background on this, but I want people to be prepared for their eyes to be opened a little bit.
Okay.
Because you talk about a lot of things that people are afraid to talk about.
Mhm.
And what I think is really exciting is because after I talked to you the first time, I have a voice here. I have a platform. I have all this stuff, and I have a very, I guess, white skin, right? So I feel like I have a real opportunity here to be able to start breaking down and changing the way you want to break down and change, because it's going to take people from all sides.
That's right.
Right.
It's not just one group versus the other, but you talk, just to kind of circle it back, you talk about in the book a lot of the things in that crack cocaine in the 80s, right? And the way they try to window dress the inner cities, make it look nice, right? We're going to displace all of these people, but we're going to make it look nice for you so that everybody's more comfortable about it. So how do we bust through some of this stuff that people are just so scared to talk about it? They know it's a problem. They know it's a big issue, but they can't bring themselves to talk about it. How do we get there?
Okay, one thing I do in the book, for whatever reason, history does not highlight the white freedom fighters, and there's quite a few of them, going back to Anthony Benson, going back to Bartolomé de las Casas, who literally fought Columbus's treatment of the indigenous people. He fought in tooth and nail. And going to John Brown, who literally, him and two of his sons died to get our people free. They don't talk about that because at the end of the day, if we're going to keep it 100, the whole race issue is a economic construct. So it was a way for them for lack of a better descriptor, the ruling class that is interested in making most of the money uses racism the way they used to use the feudal system in Europe.
Right.
This is just a worldwide feudal system is made racial. So I believe, and I may be wrong about this, but this is what I believe. I believe that black and brown are going to have to know what the truth is so that we could talk to our white brothers who are also victimized in large measure. You know what I'm saying? Because this is more a class issue than a race issue, but you need to find out what the racial history was to understand the class history.
Yeah, and we have so much more to talk about it. We have to go into a commercial break right now, but when we come back, we're gonna kind of get into the nitty gritty of the book, and what you do is what not everybody does, right? Because a lot of people say, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, and very few people say, this is how we fix it, this is how we fix it, this is how we fix it.
Right.
And Keith Errol Benson is somebody that offers solutions as well as identifying the problem. So we're going to take a quick break here on Read All About It, part of Morning Coffee. I am Mark Cook. This is Benita Lee McLean, and we are talking to Keith Errol Benson, and we're going to do that in just 1 second when we come back from this break here on the Radio Vision Network. Stick around.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facials, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Welcome back to Morning Coffees. Read all about it with Benita Lee McLean. I am Mark Cook, and we're continuing our conversation with Keith Errol Benson. And the Power and the Glory is the name of the book, but it's a history of racism in America. But the one thing about Keith Errol Benson is that he not only identifies problems, but he also offers solutions. So right before the break, Benita, I mentioned that I wanted to talk about some of these solutions because, look, everybody is aware that there are a lot of really serious issues going on in 2016. Mm-hmm. People are making, but they're talking about this Colin Kaepernick issue with mm-hmm. the protest of the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem, and the flag, and all that stuff. We've got police issues happening in certain communities that just are constantly on the news. We've mm-hmm. got different things happening, right? So we see all of these problems. But how do we move forward in terms of solution?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, if that's the question, I put one of the answers in the book. It's called PEACE. And PEACE is an acronym for political, economic, academic, and cultural excellence. So I'm asking my community to strive for peace. So politically, we have to be engaged, not just at election time. Economically, we have to be cooperative and conscious. Mm-hmm. Academically, we have to be serious and elevated. And culturally, we have to be excellent and dignified. Now, I think one reason we haven't done that is because no one's really asked us. Right. So I'm asking us. Right. You know, we're putting the call out. I doubt very seriously I'm going to get any no's. So we're putting the call out, and once we do that, we don't suffer a problem. And let's talk about my community before we talk about large community. We don't suffer a single problem in my community, which is Camden. But I claim the entire black community from Camden to Compton as mine. But let's focus on Camden. Camden doesn't suffer any problems that good jobs and good job training for the adults and robust recreation for our youth will not solve. I think we mentioned the last program, there was a place called 5 Points in New York in 1850, before AK-47s, before the mafia, and before gangster rap. They had a murder a day. They had 400 murders a year. And you can't even blame gangster rap, right. Okay, or crack cocaine. That, what they did have was depressing, crushing poverty. It has been proven. I don't care what the time period, who the people are. They were Irish people, mind you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It doesn't matter who the people are. If you put people in an area in crushing poverty, these types of things are going to happen. Move the calendar up. The Irish got jobs, you know, whether they were in policemen or other situations. They got education. They got recreation for their kids through the Catholic Church, things of that nature. Today, 5 Points is in lower Manhattan, some of the most expensive real estate in the world, and there's no murder a day. The same thing will happen in our community when we get job training. Now, my rub is they have $65,000 a year to incarcerate a young black man or a young black woman nowadays. Mm-hmm. But you can't find $35,000 a year to give them job training?
Right.
So the solution would be save the government money, cut it in half, give them job training as opposed to incarceration.
Yeah, well, and you know that a lot of the incarceration rates are for these crimes that are like, are you kidding me? We're spending that much money and this guy really just needs to be in some sort of program. He doesn't need to be incarcerated, spending that much money. Now, I'm not talking about the guys that
Violent
deserve to
crimes.
be
Yeah, not
there,
violent
right?
crimes.
Right.
I'm not talking about the guys that deserve to be there, but there's a lot of like marijuana possession charges that land these guys in jail, and their lives are completely ruined. But it's not just their lives;
Right.
it's all of the people around them as well.
Exactly.
And it's just a cycle that needs to get broken somehow.
Exactly. Well, that's part of what I was saying in the last segment, the whole feudalism model. You see what I'm saying?
Serfs.
Yeah, they I think the people that run this know this. So we as a people have to come together and demand this type of food to stop. The best way to keep control is to keep people at each other's throats. So
Right.
racism and poverty is a mechanism to keep people at their throats, so that this nefarious small, it's not even 1%, it might be 0.0001%, can continue to make money off of our misery. We have the responsibility of coming together, and we say, most of us say we're people of the book. Read the book, and come together, put our egos down, and have a wonderful world. Everybody talks about American exceptionalism, and obviously I have issues with that, but I will go this far. America is exceptional in as much as it has the possibility,
The potential.
and
Yeah.
the potential,
Yes.
where China doesn't.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
and
huge.
Even some of the European countries don't have it. America has potential that is exceptional. But I'm thinking in almost 400 years of ours being here, it's time for us to start realizing that potential. And those of us who call ourselves leaders, put our egos down, come together, and do what we have to do to take us to the next level.
Well, as an African American young woman,
Mm-hmm.
I've never really experienced racism, right?
Mm.
So how come anytime something happens to us, right? If for an example, I have friends, and for an
I think
example,
you're lucky.
Right.
I think his reaction to that was
I never experienced racism
That you knew
Really?
of, because
that I know of.
Yeah.
I've never
Okay.
really
O-
experienced.
overt that you knew of.
That I know of.
Your whole community experiences racism, so you don't get guilt. So, but I get what you're saying.
Personally.
Yeah, personally, I got you. Mhm.
I feel like really like
That's
not
good.
personally.
Mhm.
However, anytime something happens to one of us,
Right.
it's because I'm black,
Mhm.
right? Or
Mhm.
they looking at me because I'm black,
What
or
do you
they
mean?
denying us. For an example, I had a friend
Mhm.
who went to a restaurant and the waitress was white,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it was a mistake on the bill,
Mhm.
right? And my friend said, it's because we black. That's why she did that.
Mhm.
Why do you think that we always pull the race card? Like, why are we always pulling a race card?
Because racism is so pervasive. I mean, why would you tell a president you're a liar? Look at what Barack Obama, who did everything right, goes through. They've had more filibusters for him by himself than all the rest of them combined in the history of the United States government. Because racism is as pervasive as water is to a dolphin.
Right.
It is our essence. Now, is it misused and misunderstood? Certainly it is.
Mhm.
But the misuse of it pales in comparison to how many times it's really real.
Right.
So we make mistakes. Okay, we're human.
Right.
But the idea that this is a profoundly racialized nation is not a mistake at all. It is.
It is.
You know.
when you talk about that, is there a certain level of the big buzzword right now is tolerance, right?
Mhm.
Like we need to tolerate, and we need to look, everybody's got different feelings, right? So we'll just tolerate them,
Mhm.
and it really bothers me.
Mhm.
It really sticks. What's that saying? It like sticks in your craw,
Right.
Like because all tolerance does is say like, look, I'm still really going to disagree with you, and I'm not going to change my opinion of you.
Mhm.
But I'm going to just be okay to be around you, and I'm not going to give you any problems or cause you any issues. It's not a mindset change
Right.
of opening my heart to love you.
Right.
It's just saying, it's okay for right now while you're here in front of me that I'm going to be cool and I'm going to be okay with it, right?
I'll put up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
How do we break that piece of it down? Because I hear that all the time. Well, just be
Yeah.
tolerant. Just be tolerant of them, okay?
I am not trying to make this a religious show, because I think that even religious have been abused. But I will say the truth will make us free.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I wrote this book for. I think that this is a great place to start this conversation on race. I think if our white brothers and sisters were apprised of it, they might not interpret the facts the way I interpret, but at least they would know the facts.
Right.
And we could talk about our interpretations. But we keep coming to the table, we don't know the facts, our white brothers and sisters don't know the facts, and we argue about emotion that's baseless.
Right.
So let's get a set of facts and come in and talk about how that's interpreted. And I think we would move beyond tolerance into knowing, man, you're just a human being just like I'm a human being. There is not one whit of difference.
Yeah, and I don't understand why it's such a tough concept for everyone. And I mentioned this last time. I'm 37.
Right.
I felt like it was supposed to be my generation that was were the ones that were supposed to kind of move past all this stuff.
Right.
Excuse me. It's obviously still as much of an issue as it's ever been.
Well, the whole thing is that evil is real. And evil is, unless it's continuously battled consciously, it's going to keep rising up. But I think this conversation we're having right now is going to crack some of it. We just got to keep
having it.
Yeah, throwing that axe at that root, at that root of that tree, till that tree comes down.
Yeah.
We'll get it down.
We'll get there. Yeah. We got to take a break. You want to take us into a break real quick?
Well, yes. Make sure that you come back and listen in, because this is amazing. At the end, Mr. Keith is going to tell you where to get the information from, or whatever questions that you have. I'm sure that you'll be able to tell them where to go, so we can keep cracking at this. All right. Well, we see you. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Today's show is sponsored by Hargrove Demolition, your demolition experts. Hargrove is a family-owned and operated business right here in the southern New Jersey area, bringing you 45 years of demolition expertise. Hargrove has all your demolition needs, from emergency demolition service to demolition equipment rental. Hargrove is one of the state-approved recycling facilities right here in the southern New Jersey area. No job is too big or too small for Hargrove Demolition. Contact them today at one of their 3 locations.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When we make Beyond Natural dry dog and cat foods, we start with real meat as the first ingredient. We leave out corn, wheat, and soy. And we own where our dry food is made. 100%. Can other brands say all that? For nutrition you can trust and your pet will enjoy. Does your food go beyond? Learn more at purinabeyond.com.
Extra Innings is the nation's premier indoor baseball and softball training center, featuring indoor batting cages, 7 multi-use tunnels, and training rooms. Extra Innings can provide professional instruction, private and group lessons, and the best year-round clinics. Along with a nationally recognized pro shop that features the latest and widest selection of equipment and apparel, our experienced staff can provide you with the right instruction and help you find the best equipment for your ability and budget. Extra Innings, where the game never ends.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Welcome back to Read All About It here on Morning Coffee. I am Mark Cook, and right to my right here is Benita Lee McQueen.
McLean.
I was going to say. Take it away, Benita. I'm losing it here.
Not a problem. Well, right before we wrap up, how do you think that we can stop racism here in America? Because America is supposed to be a melting pot.
Okay, good
question. So how do you think that we can stop it?
Good question. I will say this as one who's been all over Asia, all over Europe, and quite a few places around the world. Americans are some of the friendliest people you'll meet anywhere in the world. We really are good people. What we don't have is the truth of what's really going on, because I get my opinion from television, from movies.
Yeah.
Right.
And television and movies, while they are great entertainment, they are bastions of stereotypes.
But that's what they are. They're entertainment. They're not supposed to be taken as information or education.
Right.
But most of the people I know, and I'm not happy to say this, they literally see the world through the way the last television show interprets it, and not how they actually see it on their own. Right or wrong? You're asking me how do we get above where we're at now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying if we can understand that entertainment is a bastion of stereotypes and a bastion of fear, actually, because to get you to watch, it has to bleed or explode. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe be naked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But this is not really a reflection of real life. So we have to understand what entertainment is doing to our psyche, and we have to get the truth of what really is going on. And we will bring our natural goodness to the fore, and we will be a very close country. I see it happening in pockets, but I hope and pray, and I'm working that it could happen just nationwide as a people. I do want to be the example to the world. No country has as many ethnic groups in it prospering and living well as America. America is like a mini world. It can be a wonderful, wonderful place. We're close. I just want to push us over to where we really are that. Not only for Americans, but for the rest of the world.
Something made me laugh, and I'm sorry, but I was thinking to myself, a lot of Texans, they want to be their own country. maybe we should let them.
Yeah.
Maybe we should let them, Keith. I was just talking about that with somebody. It's so funny that they really believe, like, there's something in the Texas state constitution or whatever it is that they can secede from the union like at any time, like with no questions asked. Yeah, they made sure when they joined to put that into their state charter was that, look, if we don't want to be part of America anymore, we can. It's such a weird thing to me. But you're talking about getting people, a lot of different people, and I think that it popped into my head because Texans are different, right? We have an image, but again, it goes back to the stereotyping and all of this stuff. I think Texan, and I think boots, and I think hat, right? And that's not how all Texans are, obviously.
I got a lot of good friends in Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Of course, and they're good people, and they're normal, and and they're not, they don't walk around with straw hanging out of their mouths and stuff. And this is the part of the thing, right? Because where did I get that image of Texans from, right? I got it from all my entertainment, my TV, and all that stuff, and that's not the truth.
Right.
And this is how, and was just, look, guys, I'm a goofball, but it was a nice example, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's the perfect example of what we're talking about here. And we have to change the mentality from the front in order for it to spread to the back.
Texans are all yahoos, and inner city African Americans are all thugs.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And as ridiculous as both of them are, it is really the subconscious of our nation right now. And only us being conscious about what really happened and learning the truth is going to stop that. And we can do that. We're starting right here on this program.
Yeah, and it's exciting to me, and it's exciting, Benita, too, because again, we had a really long conversation last week, and we actually came in. I'm thinking we had 2 long conversations last week, and I wanted her to understand kind of a little bit about you and your mission. I mean, the mission is pure. The mission is good because it's this idea that we can all come together as everyone and achieve, and it doesn't have to be you versus me, which has been this mentality for way too long. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to be a part and feel a part of that change. One of the things that we talked about last time you were here was there was a situation at the mall where, the Black Lives Matter movement is a very important one. It's a very big one. And just for the record, if you say something else like other groups' lives matter, you're missing the point of what Black Lives Matter is. I know you think you're cute, and I know you think you're funny, but it's disrespectful, and you're missing the point of
Right.
what Black Lives Matter means. Like, we understand all lives matter. We understand blue lives matter. We get that, but it's not one versus the other. Black Lives Matter has a very specific message to it. So this book is the book that everybody needs to get, and you're going to tell everybody how to get it in a second, but where I was going was your heavy involvement in the NAACP and kind of being not just talking the talk, but walking that walk as well. So talk about a little bit of that work.
Okay, going back to that and to solution, I think the solution, and I've seen it work individually, is for our community first, then the larger community. For our community, we have to dedicate ourselves to honoring our history. That gives us focus, and that gives us perspective. And then we have to organize. My thing, I tell all my young guys that I work with, if you're over 18, there's no excuse for you not to be in an organization that's about social justice. You don't have to be in the one I'm in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't have to be in none of them. Maybe you hate them all. Start your own. But to not be organized, you, as far as I'm concerned, are a bigger problem as the one who's creating the problem.
Yeah.
Because they can't exist without your lack of involvement. So my thing is, if we decide to organize and dedicate ourselves to history, I think that we can get beyond everything that we're going through in record time. I'm not talking about 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 3 or 4 years. And I'm on television saying it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 3 or 4 years.
But people have to want it.
But they have to want it, and they have to do it.
Work for it.
Yeah.
And now there's no more excuses because we know what we have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I believe that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
My daughter, I have 3 girls,
Okay.
and my daughter that's 8 years old,
Okay.
you know, she came to me, she said, you know, my teacher said that we're all like wrapping paper, Christmas wrapping paper. It's still wrapping paper, but Christmas wrapping paper is all different colors. It still wraps the same thing.
Right.
And that's how my daughter look at color.
Right.
You know, so I truly believe that the racism can stop.
Right. Okay.
Record
It
breaking
can.
time.
We have to understand what we went through.
Right.
We have to purpose to rectify what we
Yeah.
went through. But after we get that and get there, it can and it will stop.
It will stop.
Yeah.
And you know what's a good way to start that conversation? You see what I'm doing here? You see how nicely I'm segueing into Keith Earl Benson's book here.
Yes.
So Keith, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look into camera 3, and I want you to give everyone the information on how they can get in touch with you, get the book, and be a part of some positive change.
Okay, right now we don't have it in retail stores, but you can go to thepowerandtheglory.com, and you could get a book for yourself. We have a lot of athletes and kids at Camden High, Woodrow Wilson, that want to sponsor for the book. You could sponsor one of the high school kids in Camden. Hope to hear from you. That's thepeacemovement.com.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about that. I didn't know. I wasn't aware about that. So we can get involved with the book and actually affect a student's life.
One of the things I'm most happy about, we were able to go to Camden High and to Wilson's football team and get them to sign an agreement, a contract, to compete with each other academically.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Unheard of.
Yep. It will then, and they're already into it too. They're competing academically. So the first market period, we're going to see a change in their GPAs.
I'm
a
sure.
measurable change.
Oh yeah. Wow. And that's going to be great to go back and look at the numbers and be like, you see this?
Yeah. And I've given out like over 50 or 60 books to them, but it gets expensive after a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So but it costs a lot to manufacture. So if anybody wants to sponsor one, we can, if you want, we can give you a name of the kid that you got the book to, and but they've actually come to me, high school kids, and asked for a book.
That's awesome.
To read.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
Because the change is going to start. It's going to start with us, but the young people have to get involved as
Right.
well. That's awesome.
Right.
This has been great. I can't wait. I can't wait for this segment to grow and for you to be a big part of Morning Coffee and read out all about it. And I want to thank you, Keith Earl Benson, for joining us this morning
Thank you.
on the first one. And I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you wrap up the thing here because this is your show.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Keith. I mean, I am so excited about going home, and my daughter's 15 years old, and this book is now on her list.
Your daughter's 15.
Yes, I have a 15-year-old. So this book is now on.
You're only 19.
I wish.
I knew that was coming.
Thank you for joining us on Morning Coffee. Read all about it. My name is Bonita Lee McClain, and I will see you next time.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facial, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more